My name is Dr. Ramirez, and I have been seeing patients with thyroid problems, diabetes, and high blood pressure for more than 30 years. Not long ago, I treated a 74-year-old woman named Teresa. She came to my office desperate. She took her medication every day, exactly as it had been prescribed, but her health was not improving. Her blood tests kept showing levels out of control, and her blood pressure was still high. We went over her treatment, her dose, and even the brand of the medication. Everything was correct. Then I asked her to tell me, in detail, what her morning was like from the moment she woke up. That was when we discovered the real problem. It was not the pill. It was her breakfast. Every day, as soon as she got up, Teresa had a strong coffee with a glass of milk and a slice of whole grain bread. She did it a few minutes after swallowing her medication. For her, it was a healthy habit, the best way to start the day. For her body, it was silent sabotage. You see, what we eat for breakfast can completely change the way our body absorbs medications. Some foods and drinks can decrease the amount of drug that reaches the blood, making the effect much weaker, as if you had taken half a dose or even none at all. Coffee, for example, contains compounds that can delay the absorption of thyroid medications. Dairy products and whole grain breads can trap the medicine and prevent it from reaching the intestine at the right time. The result is simple. You take the pill, you believe you are doing everything right, but you do not get the benefit you expected. And this does not affect only thyroid medications. I have also seen the same thing in patients who take pills to control blood pressure, to regulate blood sugar, or even iron or calcium supplements. That is why today I want to tell you exactly which combinations of coffee and foods may be ruining the effect of your medication, why this problem happens, and most importantly, how to organize your breakfast so that your treatments really work. Stay until the end of this video because, in addition to explaining the mistake, I will give you practical solutions that are easy to apply starting tomorrow morning. It is not about giving up coffee forever, but about learning how to drink it in the right way so that your health does not pay the price. Before we begin, I want to get to know you. Tell me in the comments how many years old you are and from where you are watching me. I will love to read you and know who is taking care of their health along with me. Why the time and context of your medication matter. When I talk to my patients, one of the first things I like to explain is that a pill is not magical by itself. In order for it to work, it needs to reach your blood in the right amount and at the right time. This is what doctors call bioavailability, and although it sounds complicated, it really means something very simple. How much of the medication actually gets where it needs to go so it can work. Think of your body as a house. When you take a pill, that pill is like a letter that has to reach the right door. If it gets lost along the way, gets wet, or something blocks it, the message never arrives. The same thing happens with medication. You may swallow it, but if something in your stomach or intestine keeps it from being absorbed, it is as if you never took it. This is especially important with medications that work in a very precise way, such as thyroid drugs. Levothyroxine, for example, needs to arrive in an exact dose for the gland to function properly. If only half of the dose is absorbed, your metabolism will remain slow and you will feel tired. If it is absorbed all at once together with other foods, you may end up with palpitations or anxiety. The same thing happens with diabetes medications. These help keep blood sugar within a healthy range. But if food interferes with their absorption, you may have unexpected glucose spikes or dangerous drops. Blood pressure medications can also lose part of their effect if you take them along with substances that change blood pressure, such as caffeine. One of the lessons I learned as an endocrinologist is that the time of day you take your medication is just as important as the dose itself. It is not the same to take it on an empty stomach as with breakfast. It is not the same to take it with water as with coffee or fruit juice. These small details change the result in a significant way. I remember a patient named Manuel, 68 years old. He had been frustrated for months because his blood pressure remained high despite being on treatment. One day I asked him to explain his routine to me in detail, minute by minute. He said, "Doctor, I take my blood pressure pill with my first sip of coffee right before I go out for a walk." That simple habit was the culprit. The caffeine was temporarily raising his blood pressure and making it look like the medication was not working. When I asked him to take the pill with water upon waking and wait 30 minutes before his coffee, his numbers began to improve. So I want you to remember this. It is not enough to take the right pill. You have to give your body the right conditions to use it. Taking it at the indicated time of day with the right liquid and waiting the time your doctor recommends can be the difference between continuing to have symptoms and starting to feel better. Coffee and its effects on drug absorption. Coffee is one of the most beloved drinks in the world. For many people, it is the ritual that marks the beginning of the day, the first aroma that wakes up the brain and the push they need to get going. However, what few people know is that this same coffee can become a silent obstacle between you and the effectiveness of your medications. Coffee contains several compounds that affect how the intestine absorbs substances. One of the main ones is tannins, which can bind to certain minerals, and medications, forming complexes that the body cannot absorb. This is especially important for drugs such as levothyroxine, some antibiotics, and iron supplements. In practice, it means that part of the pill never reaches the blood and ends up being eliminated without doing its job. In addition to tannins, there is caffeine, which is a natural stimulant. Caffeine can speed up stomach emptying, making the medication move too quickly toward the intestine without enough time to dissolve and be absorbed optimally. It can also raise blood pressure temporarily, which interferes in patients taking antihypertensives and makes it seem as if the medication is not working. Another important detail is how we drink coffee. It is not the same to drink it black as to drink it with milk. Milk adds calcium and proteins that can also block the absorption of certain medications, especially thyroid drugs. Even decaffeinated coffee can cause the same problem, because the interfering compounds do not depend on caffeine, but on other elements in the infusion. I clearly remember Julia, a 69-year-old patient who came to my office very frustrated. She had hypothyroidism, and despite taking her medication every morning, she felt tired, was gaining weight, and her hair was still thinning. When we checked her tests, her thyroid hormone levels were still low. When I asked her about her routine, she said, "Doctor, I cannot live without my coffee. I take it together with the pill because it helps me not forget." I suggested a small change. Take the pill as soon as she woke up with a large glass of water and wait at least 30 minutes before drinking her coffee. I also suggested that if she wanted it with milk, she should have it after breakfast. 3 months later, her tests showed significant improvement, and she told me that she finally felt the energy to go out walking again. This is a clear example of how a simple timing adjustment can make the difference. You do not need to give up coffee if you enjoy it, but it is important to give your body time to let the medication work before adding any drink that could interfere. In the next part, I will show you which are the most common foods that, together with coffee, can reduce the effect of your treatment and what you can do to avoid it without sacrificing the pleasure of your breakfast. The most problematic foods at breakfast. When we think of a healthy breakfast, we almost always imagine something like this: a cup of coffee, a slice of whole grain bread with fresh cheese or yogurt, maybe a glass of milk, and, if we are very health conscious, a calcium or iron supplement. It sounds like a perfect picture of wellness. However, for someone who takes medication in the morning, this combination can be a silent trap. Whole grain bread, for example, is rich in fiber. Fiber is wonderful for the intestine, but in excess it can trap part of the medication and prevent it from being absorbed. It is as if the fiber acted like a sponge that picks up the drug and carries it out of the body without letting it do its job. Dairy products also have their role in this story. Milk, yogurt, or cheese contain calcium, which binds to certain medications, forming compounds that the intestine cannot absorb. This is very well known in the case of levothyroxine and some antibiotics. In fact, there are studies showing that taking thyroid medication together with milk can reduce its absorption by up to 30%. Calcium or iron supplements are another major obstacle. Both minerals compete directly with some medications for the same transporter in the intestine. That is, if you take the pill and the supplement at the same time, the body has to choose which one to absorb, and many times it lets the medication pass by. Imagine this scene. You wake up early, take your pill with a sip of water, and immediately prepare your coffee with milk, your whole grain bread, and your yogurt with fruit. You believe you are doing the best for your health, but what happens in your body is that the pill gets trapped between the fiber in the bread and the calcium in the milk. When it is time to absorb it, a large part has been lost. Hours later, you wonder why you still feel tired, why your blood pressure does not go down, or why your tests are not improving. The problem is not the bread or the milk by themselves. The problem is the time at which you consume them. If you wait the proper amount of time after taking your medication, you can enjoy these foods without affecting its effectiveness. Specific interaction with thyroid medications. Thyroid medications, such as levothyroxine, are among the most sensitive to how we take them. The thyroid is a gland that regulates the metabolism of the entire body. When it works below normal, we need to replace the hormone that it no longer produces in sufficient quantity. Levothyroxine is a synthetic copy of that hormone and must be absorbed in a very precise dose for the body to return to balance. That is why clinical guidelines recommend taking this medication on an empty stomach with a large glass of water and at least 30 minutes before eating or drinking anything else. They even suggest waiting up to 60 minutes if possible to ensure complete absorption. I remember the case of Martha, a 72-year-old woman who told me, "Doctor, I do everything right, but my thyroid is still out of control." When I asked her how she took her pill, she explained that she dissolved it in a glass of milk because that way it was easier to swallow. She did it with the best of intentions, but the calcium in the milk was reducing the amount of hormone that reached her blood. When I suggested switching to water and waiting before breakfast, her tests improved within weeks. These kinds of cases are more common than you might think. Many people, out of habit or lack of information, combine their medication with foods that decrease its effect, and the saddest part is that they then feel guilty. They think their body is not responding or that they need a higher dose. The message here is clear. If you take levothyroxine, always take it on an empty stomach, with water and without other foods or supplements in the stomach. Wait at least half an hour before having breakfast, and if you're going to drink coffee with milk or eat whole grain bread, do it after that time. It is a small adjustment that can completely change how you feel. Diabetes medication and coffee. Diabetes is one of the conditions most sensitive to small routine changes, and coffee plays a special role in this. Although coffee itself does not contain sugar, caffeine can stimulate the release of adrenaline and other hormones that raise blood sugar. For many people, this is not a major problem, but in those who depend on medications to keep their glucose under control, it can cause unexpected fluctuations. I have seen patients who, despite taking their dose of metformin or insulin at the right time, have glucose spikes right after breakfast. The reason is not always the bread or fruit they ate, but the coffee. Caffeine can make the liver release stored glucose, raising blood sugar. In other people, the effect may be the opposite and cause a slight low blood sugar, especially if they take medications that increase insulin release. I remember Peter, a 65-year-old man who kept a meticulous record of his glucose with a continuous monitor. He showed me how his levels would rise sharply every morning, even on days when he ate the same breakfast. When we reviewed his routine, we discovered that the only constant factor was his very strong coffee taken right after his medication. I suggested delaying the coffee by at least 30 to 45 minutes to give the pill time to start working. The change was remarkable. His glucose spikes decreased and his levels stayed more stable throughout the morning. The lesson here is that it is not about eliminating coffee completely, but about giving your medication room to work. If you take diabetes pills, it is ideal to take them on an empty stomach with water, wait a reasonable amount of time, and then eat breakfast. If you decide to drink coffee, try it at different times and check your glucose levels to see how your body responds. Each person is different, and finding the right time can make a big difference in your glucose control. Antihypertensives and caffeine. Blood pressure is very sensitive to caffeine. Even in healthy people, a cup of coffee can raise blood pressure temporarily for a period of 30 to 90 minutes. In someone who already has high blood pressure, this effect can make the medication seem less effective. As an endocrinologist, I have seen patients who believe their treatment does not work, when the real problem is that they are measuring their pressure right after drinking coffee. Caffeine stimulates the nervous system, causes blood vessels to constrict, and increases heart rate. This is the opposite of what we want with antihypertensives, whose goal is to relax blood vessels and lower pressure. I remember the case of Ignatius, a 70-year-old man who told me, "Doctor, I think my pills no longer work. My pressure is still high." When I asked him to keep a detailed record of his doses and his measurements, we discovered that all the high readings coincided with the time of his first coffee. I suggested a small experiment. Take his pill with water, wait 1 hour, measure his pressure, and only then drink his coffee. The difference was surprising. His pressure was within range without needing to increase the dose. For those who do not want to give up coffee, there are options. You can reduce the amount of caffeine by choosing a lighter coffee or even decaffeinated coffee, which has a much smaller effect on blood pressure. It also helps to move coffee to mid-morning when the medication has already reached its maximum effect. The message is clear. It is not about depriving yourself of something you enjoy, but about finding the right time so that your treatment works and your blood pressure stays under control. Supplements and vitamins. The big confusion. One of the most frequent questions in my office is about supplements. More and more people are taking iron, calcium, magnesium, or multivitamins in the hope of boosting their health. And it is true that in many cases these nutrients are necessary, but taking them at the same time as your medication can be a big mistake. Iron, for example, competes with many medications for the same absorption mechanism in the intestine. If you take iron together with your levothyroxine, it is as if the body has to choose which one to let through. The result usually is that both are absorbed in smaller amounts, leaving the person with anemia and poorly controlled hypothyroidism. Calcium acts in a similar way. Its electrical charge makes it bind to medications and form complexes that do not dissolve well. This problem affects not only the thyroid, but also antibiotics, medications for osteoporosis, and even some heart drugs. Magnesium and zinc can also interfere, although to a lesser degree. I've even seen problems with multivitamins that combine all these minerals and that people take as soon as they get up together with their morning pill. One case I remember well is Soledad, 71 years old. She was very disciplined with her treatment, but her blood tests were not improving. When we reviewed her routine, I discovered that she took a calcium and iron supplement right after her thyroid pill. When we reorganized her schedule, medication on waking, iron supplement in the afternoon, and calcium at night, her results began to improve consistently. The strategy I always recommend is simple. Separate the intake of sensitive medications and supplements by at least 4 hours. This gives the body time to absorb each one separately. It is also important not to take supplements together with coffee or tea because tannins can reduce their absorption by up to 50%. In short, supplements can be allies of your health, but if you take them at the wrong time, they can become an obstacle. Give each one its own space in your day, and you will see better results without needing to increase doses or spend more money on medication. The role of fasting and hydration. Sometimes we look for complex solutions when the answer lies in something as simple as a glass of water. Taking medication with enough water is essential for the pill to dissolve well and reach the stomach evenly. If you take it with just a sip, you run the risk of it sticking in the esophagus or taking longer to pass, which can irritate the digestive tract or delay its absorption. That is why I always recommend my patients drink at least a full glass of water when they take any medication. This not only helps the pill reach the stomach quickly, but also prepares the digestive system to absorb it. The fasting state is another key point, especially for medications like levothyroxine. Taking it on an empty stomach ensures that there is no competition with other nutrients and that absorption is more predictable. If you take it with food, especially with fats or proteins, absorption can be significantly reduced. Even for those who practice intermittent fasting, it is better to keep medication intake at the beginning of the day with water and then continue with the fasting plan. In this way, the pill does not lose effectiveness and the treatment continues to work. I remember the case of Martha, 68 years old, who started intermittent fasting on a friend's recommendation. She decided to delay taking her thyroid medication until the time of her first meal, thinking that this way she would not break the fast. After a few months, she felt more tired and her tests showed altered levels. When she went back to taking the pill upon waking on an empty stomach and with water, her energy returned and her values improved. The message is simple. A glass of water and an empty stomach are the best way to make sure your treatment has the expected effect. If you add to this a good schedule for your breakfast and your coffee, you are giving your body the best chance to heal and stay in balance. Practical solutions for your routine. After all this information, the most important thing is that you know exactly what to do in your daily life. It is not about making your life complicated, but about creating a simple routine that works for you and for your health. If you take thyroid medication, the ideal is to take it as soon as you wake up, with a large glass of water and without any other food. Wait between 30 and 60 minutes before having breakfast. If you take blood pressure or diabetes medications, follow your doctor's instructions, but in general, it is better to separate them from foods and drinks that may interfere. An example routine could look like this. You wake up and take your medication with water. You give yourself a calm moment, maybe do a few minutes of gentle stretching, breathe, plan your day. After half an hour, you enjoy your coffee, preferably black, or if you prefer it with milk, then already after the pill has done its job. Then you eat a light breakfast that does not block absorption, such as a piece of fruit, cooked oatmeal without too much extra fiber, or toasted white bread with some light protein. If you take calcium or iron supplements, move them to the afternoon or evening so they do not interfere with your morning medication. This also helps your body absorb them better. A very important detail is consistency. Doing this from time to time is not enough. The real benefit is seen when you turn it into a habit. You can even set reminders on your phone so you do not forget to take the pill or to wait before breakfast. The most valuable part of this strategy is that it allows you to keep drinking your coffee and eating what you like without your treatment losing its effect. It is about giving each thing its place in your morning so they work together and not against each other. Myths about coffee and health. Coffee is one of the most studied drinks in the world, but also one of the most surrounded by myths. Some people say it is bad for everyone, and others claim it is the fountain of youth. The truth, as almost always, is somewhere in the middle. One of the most common myths is that coffee wears out the heart or burns the stomach. In reality, moderate coffee consumption, between 2 and 4 cups a day, has been associated in several studies with a lower risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even some types of cancer. Of course, this depends on each person and their tolerance, but in general, it is not necessary to eliminate it completely if you like it. Another myth is that coffee always ruins your sleep, even if you drink it in the morning. The truth is that caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours, so its effect gradually decreases throughout the day. If you drink it very early, it is unlikely to cause insomnia at night, although every body is different and some people are more sensitive than others. It is also often believed that decaffeinated coffee is completely free of caffeine. This is not true. It still has small amounts, but much less than regular coffee. For someone very sensitive to blood pressure, this can be a good option. What matters is understanding that coffee is not the enemy. The problem arises when we mix it with medications at the wrong time or when we overuse it. 4 or more very strong cups a day can cause nervousness, palpitations, heartburn, and a temporary rise in blood pressure. But in moderate amounts, it can be part of a healthy life and even provide beneficial antioxidants. Now that you know what is interfering with your medication, the most useful thing is to have a clear plan you can follow every morning. What I am proposing is not complicated and can be adapted to your lifestyle. Step 1. Put your pill next to your bed, beside a glass of water. That way, you will not forget it when you wake up. As soon as you open your eyes, take the medication with the full glass of water. Step 2. Spend the next 30 to 60 minutes doing something you enjoy. You can take deep breaths, read a few pages of a book, listen to calm music, or simply plan your day. This will help you not feel that you are wasting time waiting to have breakfast. Step 3. Prepare your coffee, but now with the certainty that the pill has had time to do its job. If you like it with milk or cream, that is fine, but avoid combining it with supplements at that moment. Step 4. Have a light, balanced breakfast. Fresh fruit, oatmeal, white bread, or even eggs are good options. If you are going to eat foods rich in fiber or calcium, make sure at least half an hour has passed since you took your medication. Step 5. Save your calcium, iron, or multivitamin supplements for the afternoon or evening. That way they do not interfere with your morning medications. I recommend keeping a record for at least 1 week. Write down the time you take your medication, your coffee, and your breakfast, and note how you feel. If you have a glucose meter or blood pressure monitor, measure your values and see if there are changes. This information is very valuable for you and for your doctor because it will allow you to adjust the schedule in a personalized way. The key is consistency. It does not matter if it is the weekend or a holiday. Try to keep the same schedule. Your body will be grateful and your treatment will work more steadily. Although it sounds simple, there are several common mistakes that many people make without realizing it. The first is taking the pill with orange or grapefruit juice. These juices can change how the liver processes the medication, making the dose stronger or weaker than expected. It is always better to use water. Another frequent mistake is taking the pill together with supplements. If you take iron, calcium, magnesium, or multivitamins at the same time as your medication, you reduce its absorption. The solution is very simple. Separate them by at least 4 hours. Some people forget the pill and take it right before eating. This reduces the effectiveness of medications like levothyroxine. If you forgot your dose, wait at least 2 hours after eating to take it, or follow your doctor's specific instructions. It is also common for people to change their routine without asking for advice. They start a new diet, do intermittent fasting, or switch from coffee to tea, and suddenly their symptoms come back. It is always better to discuss these changes with your doctor so that they can guide you and adjust the plan if necessary. To avoid forgetting, you can use a weekly pill organizer or set an alarm on your phone. These small tricks make the difference between a well-managed treatment and one that seems not to work. We have reached the end of this video, and I want you to remember the most important thing. Coffee is not the enemy. What can sabotage your health is the time when you drink it and what you pair it with. Today, you learned that the order of things matters. First the medication, then the coffee, and after that, breakfast. You also saw that small changes, such as waiting half an hour, using water instead of juice, and separating supplements, can transform the effectiveness of your treatment. You do not need to give up your favorite habits, you just need to give them the right space so they work in harmony with your health. These simple adjustments can help you control your blood pressure, your glucose, and your metabolism better without needing to increase doses or add more medications. I would love to know if any of these tips resonates with you. How many years old are you and from where are you watching me? Were you already doing any of this or is it new for you? Leave it in the comments so we can learn together. If this video was helpful for you, share it with someone who also takes medication every morning. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss upcoming topics about health and habits that truly make a difference. And remember, small changes, big results. See you in the next video.